Welcome to the House of Startups, the place to be. The House of Startups plays host to the Luxembourg City Incubator, the Luxembourg House of Financial Technology, the International Climate Finance Accelerator, and many more hubs of innovation. Today, we are talking to Philippe Linster, the CEO of the House of Startups. With his dynamic energy and his drive to make Luxembourg a global hub of innovation, Philippe seems like the perfect person to run the House of Startups. Let's go hear from Philippe. Philippe, thank you very much for joining us on Business Beyond Borders with the Luxembourg Mind.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to start off by talking to you about your career trajectory. Over the last few years, we have seen the House of Startups be really active in the way it's engaging entrepreneurs, in the way it's creating this environment of innovation and growth. You've brought in so many new organizations under the helm of the House of Startups. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your journey to becoming CEO of the House of Startups, your career trajectory, and how you got here.
I think as a good Luxembourgian person, I started working in the Luxembourgish bank at the time, so 10 years ago exactly. And then after one moment, I was there 3 years. I worked with a lot of corporates, so I had a lot of fun, but I wanted to do something different, so going out of the banking world. And then I joined the Chamber of Commerce, more specifically the House of Entrepreneurship. It's a little bit brother and sister of the House of Startups, where I helped a lot attracting international investors or already startups to Luxembourg. And I also did this for 3 years, and then the Chamber of Commerce asked me, they were looking for a new CEO for the House of Startups, and because I was already working with a lot of international startups and investors, and I had already the network to do that, and they asked me to take over in January 2020 from the leadership of the House of Startups, and yeah, now I'm here.
Amazing. So it's been almost 4 years.
Yeah, more than 4, exactly 4 years.
Exactly 4 years, right? So I feel like during these 4 years, a lot has happened in Luxembourg and around the world. Also, when I look at it from a summation of your career, I'm sure you've had some ups and downs, some turbulent phases, some obstacles. Can you talk to us about some of the challenges that you faced along your journey and how you overcame them?
I think one of the main challenges was also when they asked me to take this over, because at the time I was 29. So even for the Chamber of Commerce, it was not an obvious step to just say, Philippe, just take it, we trust in you. So they had doubts themselves, so I had to pass some more difficult interviews like selection committees and stuff like this. And it was not easy. And I mean, at the beginning, it was a lot of pressure. It's the first big thing. You're also a little bit, you're politically exposed because with this project. At the end of the day, I think nobody regretted the choice, so that it's a good thing. Something personally, it helped me a lot. It's like having some mentors, and I think mentors, they're like people a little bit older than you, not in the same environment, because you can a little bit get advice, and it's not your supervisor or stuff like this. So it was clearly a challenge back at the time to be chosen and to take over. But at the end of the day, I think it was a good choice.
Okay, very good. Can I ask you about what a typical day for you is like at the House of Startups? Because I know you're juggling a lot of things here.
I think there's no typical day as such. First of all, you speak all the languages all day, like you speak English, German, French, Luxembourgish, and of course other people talk even more languages because we have so many nationalities here. And because we have so many different projects. I mean, we have HR, we have education, we have space, we have defense now more and more. But at the end of the day, we talk to the people here. We want to know their challenges.
Sure.
And that is how we want to help them on a day-to-day basis. But also in the long run, we want to think how we can develop further. So I have a lot of meetings to the left and to the right internally, but also what's great about this house, you can talk every minute to a different entrepreneur, because we have so many different entrepreneurs here. And I love listening to them. And I love building up our services, our new ideas based on what I hear from them.
Okay, that sounds like a very dynamic work environment with a lot of impact potential.
Yeah, you have so many, you see a lot. So unfortunately, but it's part of the game, you see startups failing.
Sure.
It's a lot of risks. There are new business models, so not all of them succeed.
Sure.
But for them, you see succeeding, you feel you are a part of it, and that is really great. It's very satisfying to of course they do the work. It's their success, but they have been here. In some way we help them to grow, and then to even see them develop more and more even outside of the House of Startups. I mean that's why we are here. So it's a very nice project to be part of.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go into a slightly more personal area now. You are Luxembourgish, you grew up here. I wanted to ask you about your experiences of growing up in Luxembourg and the superpowers that's helped you unlock in your current career trajectory.
I mean, it's a special country. And when you talk to people, you already tell them 50% of the population is not Luxembourgish. And then even during the day, with all the commuters coming from Germany, France, and Belgium, even 75% of the workforce is not Luxembourgish. So maybe being Luxembourgish has the advantage you know a little bit how it works. Because you're Luxembourgish and I speak the language, sometimes you maybe get a step in a little bit more quicker than other people do. But you open these doors for the people who are working here. So, I mean, the country has advantages like being very stable politically and economically. So we are a rich country, which has a lot of potential. I mean, we have a strong finance center. We have a lot of different sectors which are very well developed. Of course, there are a lot of challenges too, like housing, like traffic, and it's an expensive country. So for startups, having to pay office, to pay the people, to pay the employees, like with the minimum wage, it's challenging. So because they never have cash for anything, which is normal at the beginning of your entrepreneurial adventure, and so I think being a Luxembourgish in the position where I am right now, I try to use my connections, my network, which I built up all my life. I mean, but to bridge these challenges they face actually. So Luxembourg a lot of advantages, but also very specific challenges due to the success we had. We also have a lot of challenges now.
Sure. I also think that as someone who goes through the academic system here, you come out of it speaking all these different languages. It's almost like a superpower because you can speak to almost everybody.
Yeah, I mean, when I travel a lot, also with my hobbies, with my job, and when you tell the people, like in Luxembourg, when you finish school, you already speak 4 languages. And then we have more and more these foreign people who integrate public schools. They even speak 5 to 6 languages because they speak their native language. I mean, Portuguese or Spanish or something different, and then they grow up in the system. So they speak so many languages, and it's a huge advantage. So because I think once you get older, it's getting more difficult to learn more and more languages. I think other topics you can study, but learning 3 more languages is almost impossible once you get older. And so this gives you a lot of opportunities to go to other countries. I mean, so I think our education system is not perfect. It's still very old school. I mean, we need more importance on the STEM topics. Everything it's science, it's mathematics, it's of course IT. So I think there we are lacking somehow, and the Luxembourgish government has a lot of. They have difficulties to change the curriculum a little bit into that direction. It's not easy. What do you sacrifice to promote this? And everybody thinks their topic is the most important. The music teacher thinks music is the most important. The sports teacher thinks sports. So that's difficult. So I think the language is a big advantage in our academic way in Luxembourg. But still, with all the challenges we have, we need to invest more in everything what is science, IT, mathematics. It needs to be more important in Luxembourg. My personal opinion. Sure,
and I know that you're also contributing a little bit to developing our young minds with your podcast. You expose our students to entrepreneurship and the ability to take risk early on.
Yeah. So we do a lot of things in the House of Startups for the students. Of course, we welcome a lot of students here from different schools, from very early, like 15, 16, from the high school, to students from the university, and also from universities all the way. And like you mentioned, we have our own podcast, so normally I'm used to asking the questions and not responding to them. We want to showcase to the students, but also to everybody who wants to listen to the podcast, what interesting startups we have here in Luxembourg, because sometimes for the young people, our startup ecosystem is not so known, because they know the big companies of Luxembourg, but maybe they don't know the startups we have. And we work together with the Ministry of Education, so they open us the doors into the high schools.
Amazing.
So that's a great help. And we do the podcast. We do it in Luxembourgish, because it's a little bit to show what kind of entrepreneurial culture we have. So yeah, if at the end of the day, thanks to the podcast, there will be people who say, I didn't know about this, I want to launch my own company, then the podcast is a success. So that's the goal behind.
I love the thought. I feel like 10, 15 years from now, we'll see the seeds of this. I will see our kids growing up and starting businesses, and I think it'll lead to success.
I hope so. We have a common friend who works in an IT company, and he was on the podcast, and he said once that when he did the episode, a few weeks later, he got contacted by engineering students who listened to the episode, and they wanted to know more about his job. And he met with them, and they had an own project. And that is what it's all about. So, and that was great, a great success story after the podcast.
I love that. So cool. I'm gonna ask you a little bit now. I'm gonna take us back to the startup ecosystem. So Luxembourg, I feel like it has its own set of strengths that contribute to its success. Can I ask you to shed some light on how our startup ecosystem is structured, and what's going well for us?
So I think it's still a young ecosystem. So of course there are initiatives who are already existing since a long time. Technoport, the oldest incubator we have in Belval, with Diego as the managing director, it's already existing since 25 years. But a lot of initiatives have seen the light in the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, we opened in June 2018. We have the Luxembourg House of Financial Technology, the Loft, who opened 6 years ago. And these are one of the main key players here in Luxembourg. So at the beginning, of course, 5-10 years ago, we started to grow our startups. But now, I mean, 2023 was a very successful year for our ecosystem. In total, our startups, our national startups raised over 150 million in fundraising last year, which is an amount we have never seen before. So we even never crossed the 100 million marks. And this, we already crossed, I think we are even close to 175 million. So it was a huge year for us. We had some startups who raised over 30 million. We had 5 to 7 startups who raised over 15 million. So it was great to see that. So and what you can also see, we are now entering in this second generation of entrepreneurs. So we have these successful startups like Talkwalker, Doctena, Atome, and these founders, they take a step back. I mean, they cashed out, or they are in the board, and they're getting coaches. They are becoming mentors. They're becoming investors themselves. And it's not only about money. So it's smart money, because they teach the next generation, which we have here at the House of Startups, and they also help them to avoid some pitfalls. So, and they didn't have these mentors back at the time, because they were the first of their generation, but they can now, and I think more you have these coaches, mentors with a lot of experience, the future generation will be better. So it's a question of time, of course. So I think it's a mix of everything. You have more initiatives like House of Startups, you have more legal framework stuff from the Ministry of Economy, you have more experienced entrepreneurs, and it's like a soup, it's like a good dish, it's like a recipe. You put all these things together, and you get a better ecosystem with time. But it needs investments, it needs a little bit of patience, but we're getting there. It's not perfect, a long way to go, but it's nice to be part of it.
Okay, I'm going to try to go deeper into that. It seems like we've got all the infrastructure, the setup in place for the second generation to come and take it even further, even faster. What are some things that we can do better to help this generation succeed?
I think we are lobbying also at the level of the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of the Economy, of course, because as House of Startups, we are part of the Chamber of Commerce. We see the pains on the ground, and we bring them to the government to tell them, look, we can do better. We always like to highlight two special things in the legal framework.
Sure.
One of them is the tax charter. A lot of people don't like the name because it has a negative connotation.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
But what is it is when startups often need money. They need to grow fast. They need money from investors.
Sure.
At the beginning, they are business angels, so they are private people putting
Sure.
their own money in it.
Sure.
Afterwards, it will be venture capital funds
Sure.
who do this.
Sure.
At the business angel level, they take a lot of risks, the people, because they could also invest
Sure.
in real estate.
Sure.
Maybe less, for sure less risk, maybe also less return on invest. But still, you have to incentivize these people to invest in startups. And the tax shelter is a fiscal mechanism where you invest and you can deduct a certain part of your investment from your personal tax declaration. So the state takes part of the risk, but it motivates more and more people to invest. So this is one part to get more money to the startup world into the company.
Sure.
Then we have a second one, which we call is the ESOP. It's the employee shareholder option plan.
Sure.
What's the goal behind this? So I said before already, startups often don't have a lot of cash. So we need tech talent. They need tech talent. To get these people, they are in competition with the big companies or with the public sector who can pay better salaries.
Sure.
So how can you attract more people to the startups? Is by giving them shares, like phantom shares. But they don't get them immediately. But you already predefine the price.
Sure.
And when the startup grows, of course, the shares will be more valuable, and then you can sell them later, and you can have an. But today, our legal framework, from a taxation point of view, is not done for this. So it's difficult. So having both measures, having a tax shelter, will provide more private money to the startups, and having the ESOP to be able to get more talent, international talent to Luxembourg, both combined together, it would be a huge step forward into our ecosystem.
And do you feel like we are taking the right steps towards this legal regulatory framework change?
I think now we have a new government. I think this government is very business friendly.
Okay.
Of course, we shared all these needs we have.
Okay.
All the other associations which are in contact with the startup ecosystem, they do the same. And what I hear from left to right, that these two measures are in the making.
Okay.
And I think I can be confident that they will be common. I have no idea when, but I think they know what to do.
Okay, but already this is fantastic. The fact that you've pinpointed the exact solution, it's in the works. It's already a very, very good step. Now, you speak to a lot of entrepreneurs on a daily basis. Can I ask you to share some of the more exciting projects that you see around you?
The more exciting?
Projects that you see around you, or startups, initiatives.
I mean, it's very famous startups. I think almost everybody knows in Luxembourg was, for instance, when we had Salon Key. You have 5 guys who want to digitalize the beauty industry. Said, look, you're guys, you're not women. What do you want to do in the beauty industry? And they started here with their less than 5, with their founding team, and you see them grow over the years. They every 3 months they needed a different office because they became bigger, and you were like, what are you doing? But they were so effective, so efficient in their product. So you saw them grow so quickly, and then today they are over 150 people. Of course, they are already 1 year they are out of the building because they became too big. And when you become too big, we throw you out because you have to make place for another outcome. Then it's a little bit depending on what's happening. Now, unfortunately, we have a lot of wars. We have geopolitical tensions in a lot of countries. And we have more and more startups in defense. So we're talking about space, satellite images, how you can use them but also, unfortunately, not only in agriculture, but also in the war, you can use the satellite image. Cybersecurity is a lot of a big topic. Of course, AI, you cannot ignore AI anymore. So it's a little bit the hot topics you see very much also then in new creations of projects. So during COVID, when we had lockdowns to the left and to the right, we had a lot of health techs because, of course, what can we do against the virus?
Sure.
But also, how can you work better remotely? I mean, everybody was at home. Then remote working, not everybody was prepared, and how to work more efficiently. So, yeah, during COVID, you saw these effects. Now, unfortunately, you see more the war and defense effects, but we always see emergence of startups related to the actual crisis we are suffering for the moment.
Okay, it sounds like there's a lot going on around the world, and Luxembourg is well positioned to catch those trends and create new things based on that. It seems like we have all the infrastructure in place for all of this.
I mean, it's a developed country. It's in the heart of Europe. I mean, there's a big advantage. I think we try to position ourselves for startups who are not from Europe, for instance. Yeah. They are looking for European headquarters. And then we want to say, look, come to Luxembourg. First of all, we speak all the languages, very international workforce, a lot of high-skilled people. You have a direct access to the market itself, but the market itself is too small. We immediately tell them, when you come here, you can go to France, Germany, to Belgium, to the north, to the south. It's the same distance to the north, to the south, in every direction. But of course, people know Germany, people know France. We have to be very proactive. Sure. So it doesn't fall into just, we don't have success just by waiting and they will come. So, I mean, Luxembourg always has been very successful in inventing itself. I mean, when we, back at the time, nobody of us was born, we were an actually agricultural country. Sure. Then we became rich by becoming a steel country. Sure. But we took the chance. And then, of course, the steel the resources are not endless. So what do we do next? We became a finance center. But also there, this will not be endless. Other countries, they do the same. Then we took initiative. We created space resources, Luxembourg Space Agency, sustainability. So Luxembourg is always trying to seize its chances, and we do the same in the startup world. So we try to position Luxembourg where we have strength. We will never be the huge country with a lot of fabrics. Sure. We don't have the space. But we have the mindset, we have the IT skills, we have the international workforce. So we play these cards to be more successful at this level. But it's a lot of work, but it's also fun.
No, I love that. It's a fantastic setup. And thank you for leading our initiatives in this direction. I think I find a lot of solace and comfort in knowing that you are there at the helm to lead us through, to navigate us through all of these changes that we're going through.
It's very rewarding to be part of all this setup. It's cool.
I'm now going to go into a slightly more personal area. I know that you represented Luxembourg in chess. You've played a lot of chess tournaments. I'm going to ask you a little bit about the chess setup in Luxembourg. How does it work? How can a current chess enthusiast go on to represent Luxembourg?
I mean, there are a lot of chess clubs. So I am from Ash originally. So there was someone of the chess club coming to my primary school, and my brother started to play, so I started to play, and I mean, it's a little bit coincidence. And you start to become better, and then you invest more and more time. So I started reading books, play with the computer, train a lot, and then I had the chance to be part of the national team and to represent Luxembourg at. Now I was at 3 Olympic Games. That was really interesting. I can also advise everybody, chess is, in that sense, is a little bit special. Huh? You don't have to be great at mathematics, like everybody thinks. Everybody who can talk to 10, who can count to 10, can play chess. It's not a lot of women. But it's a very logical game. And I have to say, it helps me a lot also in my thinking, in my private life, in my business life. So in that sense, I think it's fun to be, because I met a lot of friends playing chess. And you can play chess anywhere. Sure. With the phone now, we have all the applications, but also with a small board. Normally every nice bar has a chessboard somewhere. Sure. You play a little bit with your friends. You have a beer, you have a drink, and so it's also a very social game. But of course, if you want to play more competitive, You go into a club. If you want to become better, of course, you have to invest time, like every other sports. But yeah, I think it's a little bit. It's not like football. It's not so famous because it's also not so marketable. You cannot put chess so easily into TV like football.
Sure.
But I think just having all this chess on my CV also, I think, helped me to get to some positions I am today, because people he plays chess with some success. He cannot be that stupid. So let's listen to him a little bit. So it helped me a lot in my logical thinking. And it also sometimes it can impress people, although I think it's not that impressive because I know what I did, but because people are not used to it,
sure.
it sometimes impresses them for no reason.
I wouldn't say no reason, but well done. I'm now going to move us to the fun segment, the rapid fire segment.
Chess is already a fun segment, no?
Sure. But this is going to be the rapid fire segment. I'm going to give you a couple of options, and I'm going to let you pick one on the spur of the moment. All right, so first question. You have a 30-minute lunch break, and you want to do something to relax yourself. Would you prefer to play speed chess or listen to a podcast?
Because I often do it, I play speed chess.
Okay.
I go to somewhere here around, I buy a sandwich, come back to my office, and I do some bullet games.
Okay.
So for bullet games, you have 1 minute. It's
okay.
already
okay.
always no thinking,
okay.
But I love it.
Does it help you relax, or does that help you feel fresh?
It gives me other ideas, so I deconnect from work.
Okay.
Even though I'm at the computer, and I love just playing and I eating my sandwich.
Okay, very cool. If you had to go watch a stand-up comedy show in either French or German, which language do you think is more conducive for you?
Probably German, because German is very similar to Luxembourgish language. So we speak perfect German, so I would understand all the jokes.
Okay.
I think, of course, we have a very good French level, but maybe I wouldn't get all the jokes all the time.
Sure.
So maybe then I pick the German part.
There's a new startup that's coming to Luxembourg. They want to set up their office. Where would you recommend that they set up? Kloster or Kirchberg?
I always hear, because you just in a few weeks you get all the contacts.
Okay.
Especially when you're not from here. It's perfect space, just
right here in the House of Startups.
Of course.
Okay, all right. Great.
That's why we are here for.
Super. All right. You are going out one evening to listen to live music. Would you prefer to be in Rock Hall or Philharmonie?
I think Rock Hall.
Rock Hall.
I think I'm more often at Philharmonie because I get invitations for events.
Okay.
But personally, I prefer to be at Rock Hall. They have nice artists.
Sure. Awesome. All right. Now, I know that you've been going through the CFA program. I have a personal connection there, so I'm going to ask you, for your 3 levels, which level did you find the hardest? Level 1, level 2, or level 3 that you're currently at?
I think I have to say 3 because I passed 1 and 2 in the first attempt, and the third I didn't. So I failed the first attempt in the third one, and I took the second attempt now about 2 weeks ago. So let's see what they say. But it's harder because you have to write.
Sure.
And so all this essay part, because on the other one you can still sometimes, by luck, getting the right answer. So I think point of view, time management. Third level, I think it's the hardest by far.
But now level 3 is computerized. You could type your answer.
Yeah, but still, you have to work. You have to write a lot, and time management. I think it's more difficult. And I know when you have a multiple choice, you know what direction they want.
Sure.
If there is a blank page, you can go into one direction, but maybe it's not what they're looking for, and then it's just completely false.
Well, I'm rooting for you. I hope you pass the exam and you join all the rest of the
community.
CFA. Yeah, the CFA community here. We're very active. It'll be very good to have you as part of us.
Let's see in 4 weeks.
Fingers crossed for you.
Yeah.
Final question for the day. I'm moving us to the advice segment. I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give to young aspiring entrepreneurs, basically entrepreneurs who are trying to set up in Luxembourg startup system? What advice would you give to them to find success?
Something what I mentioned already before is getting people like mentors. You don't have to call them mentors. You call them whatever you want, but like people you can ask questions. So because you always will have challenges in your life, like private or professional challenges, and you want to talk to somebody who maybe had similar experience. But so look for people who we can talk to very openly. So there needs to be this connection, this trust.
Sure.
I had a lot of chance, a lot of luck in my life that doing my different professional steps, I met people who I'm still in contact today. Okay. So they're not friends. I don't see, but I see them maybe twice, 3 times a year. We have dinner, we have lunch, we have a drink, and often I contact them because there's something bothering me, and I don't know how to solve it. And I want to talk to them, but it's not that they're not my mental coaches, my trainer. They became kind of friends. Okay. But still, I look up to them because they always gave me good professional advice or personal advice, and I can talk with them with all the stuff, and they're not related to my actual work, so they're very open to this. So finding these key people, and you can also change them a little bit. I also had the luck to find you without forgetting the other ones. So I have a bigger pool. I call them mentors. I think it's great to find these key people in your life.
Okay, so basically creating a portfolio of mentors and support system with diverse perspectives, external perspectives to help you through.
Yeah, different experiences. So maybe they have worked 10 years there, or they have been also, they faced similar challenges, but in different sectors. So, and you have like a peer-to-peer learning, but on a friendly basis. So it's not that you pay them, but you have a drink, you have a beer, and you talk about this, and you want to get another perspective. Okay. They also will learn from you because you exchange point of views. And for me personally, it was very helpful in some key situations. I could talk to them. It helped me a lot.
Great. Well, this has been a pleasure, Philippe. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, for walking us through your journey. I'm sure our audiences will really, really appreciate your stories.
It was a pleasure being here, and always happy to talk a little bit about House of Startups and a little bit of my personal life.